Greetings, everyone. I just wanted to do a quick reflection for day 27. It's going to come from the first chapter, which really struck me hard because I guess this is something that I hear a lot of believers struggle with. And not just, I won't say struggle. Struggle is probably the wrong word, but it's kind of one of those kind of things that kind of throws us off, I think, sometimes, in the sense that here we have this leper Naaman, who is not a child of the Most High God, but his wife hears of a prophet. She hears about the Israelite who can heal, who have a God who can heal different diseases. And Naaman is a leper. So she says, why don't you go over here and see if this man can't heal you? See if there isn't something that can be done for your disease, your leprosy. So he goes, and I think he's excited. You know, he goes with expectation, right? Which I think is something that a lot of believers don't always have. We say God can do, but we don't have the expectation that he will. And I know that he went with expectation because he went prepared. He took all types of silver and gold and raiments and things to pay this man of God for the healing that he was expecting to receive, right? So he had expectation. He didn't say, nothing's going to happen. He went prepared. Something's going to happen, and so I need to be prepared for when that thing comes. But he went, and he was a little taken aback because the man of God didn't even come out to see him. The man of God sent word and said, go wash 7 times in the river Jordan and you'll be healed. And I think sometimes as believers, we want God to do this great show of power. We want huge we want lightning and thunder, and we want voices from heaven, and we want the man of God to make a big show and spectacle, come down here and fall on the ground and do all of these grand things to show the power. We want to have to do something really drastic, climb up this mountain, fast for 40 days and 40 nights. And, sometimes that is what God calls us to do. Sometimes that is how he speaks. But I think the challenge isn't when there's a grand show or performance. Our challenge comes when it's something simple. Because we see Naaman here, he says, what? Wash 7 times? First of all, the man of God didn't even think highly enough of me to come down and speak to me about my condition. He sent somebody else. Then all he tells me to do is wash 7 times in the river? I'm not doing that. Right? But his healing was in this simple thing, washing 7 times in the river. And it took his servants to open his eyes to the fact, right, that if he had told you to do something grand, to give all of your money away to the homeless, if he had told you to hop 7 times on one leg and then do 5 backflips, would you not have attempted to do it in order to get your healing? But all he said was go wash 7 times. So why not do this simple thing which will get you your healing? See, it's simple enough to try it and do it and see what happens. And he does it, and he gets his healing. But what really stood out to me was the fact that this man is a leader, an important man. But he had the foresight and the wisdom to heed the words of his own servants. He could have easily said, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a servant to me. Why should I listen to what you have to say? But he heeded their words. And he allowed the correction. He allowed himself to be corrected by their words. And he did what the man of God, Elisha, told him to do. He went and he washed 7 times. And he was healed. And then he tried to give of his special of his gifts to Elisha, and Elisha said, no, we don't want them. You keep them. And he said, well, you won't take my gifts, but I'm telling you now that I am forever a believer of the Lord God. And I'm letting you know now that because of my position, I have to be seen in certain arenas. I have to go with people above me into certain places of worship. But I'm telling you right now that though I might be going into these places of worship because of my position, I am when they're worshiping to their God, I will be worshiping to the one true God. And this is a reminder, I think, to me in the sense that God has believers in different arenas, right? He's strategically placed people in different places. And while on the outside it might not look as if what they're doing is in honor and reverence to the Most High, while on the outside it might look like they are in the midst of idolatry or in the midst of something that is not godly, that they might have just made a commitment to the Most High God, and he strategically placed them there. And I believe that even Naaman, his story is changing the lives of those around him. Imagine what those servants did after they saw that he was healed. It wasn't this other God that healed him. He had been a leper this whole time, going to worship in their place of worship, and he was never healed. But this other God over here healed him. So think of how that affected his servants and the stories that his servants were saying. There is a God that can heal. There is a God that is greater than all of these other gods, though we have been serving them. Think of how that affected his relationship with his wife, or his wife's belief. She sent her husband away a leper, and he came back as clean and as white as snow. Think of how that affected how he raised his children and how they were raised. Their father, who was a leper, was cleaned and healed by the Israelites' God. So I think sometimes as believers, sometimes we are quick to judge, one, how God chooses to do a thing. We want it to be grand and thunder and lightning and a show of power and greatness. But sometimes it's as simple as walking into a river and walking out and walking in and walking out 7 times. But also that we can be quick to judge people in their positions. We see what we see on the outside, but we are not privy to the heart of a man or a woman. And so this was just another, confirmation that God's ways are not our ways. And we need to remember that, especially in dealing with people. God's ways are not our ways. He doesn't use who we would use. He doesn't choose who we would choose. He doesn't do things the way that we would like them to be done. He doesn't do things the way that we envision them being done. He is so much more powerful and awesome and mighty than all of that. So I hope that blessed you. I hope it gave you something to think about. If you agree, great. Let me know. If you don't agree, great. Let me know if there's anything else that stood out to you in just that one chapter, that 2 Kings chapter 5. Please let me know. I love you all and have a wonderful day.